Auntie, the one who's here for you, sees you through the most trusted news network in the world, taking vulnerable people with mental health issues to court. And they're all okay with that over 159 quid. Absolute scum. Hi, it's me again, and I am not happy again. It's happened again. There is more and more of this happening by TV licensing. There's massive PR. No wonder they're paying multi-million pound contracts for PR companies to try and put some spin on stuff at the minute. It's literally 2 weeks ago I was saying this. You should be ashamed. How can you people who work there go home at night and sleep well? You go home at night, you put the dinner on and you talk to the kids and the wife or whatever. And good day at work, dear. Yeah, good day at work. Good day at work. I'm taking a vulnerable 57-year-old with Down syndrome to court. I'm really proud of my day's work. That was about the story where there was the woman with Down syndrome who had no control over her own money that was taken to court by TV licensing. And let me just remind you of something they say on TV licensing. Just before we talk about the story I want to talk about today, we should familiarise ourselves with tvlicensing.co.uk/visit, where they give us all the information we require about getting a visit from one of their enforcement officers. Let me just remind you of this one. Look, vulnerable customers, a vulnerable customer is a customer, someone who's not currently paying for your TV licence fee is still a customer, right? But we'll gloss over that part. A vulnerable customer is someone whose personal circumstances have a significant impact on their ability to buy or manage a TV licence. Remember that part. Remember that part. This could be illness or any other condition. Anyone who's interviewed under caution, put that in to scare you, is asked whether they have any personal circumstances they would like to make us aware of. Apart from vulnerable people or people with mental health disorders who absolutely shit themselves by this person who pretends to be a bailiff at their door, an enforcement officer, giving himself a scary title, you might not always be compass enough to make them aware of it. But don't worry, they've got that bit covered. All TV licensed visiting officers receive specific training on how to respond appropriately to customers who report a disability. Again, what if you don't report the disability because you've shat yourself or you don't know how to handle this situation that's now occurring? When they visit an address or exhibit behaviour that could be indicative of a hidden disability. So they've put a disclaimer in there. They say, maybe we'll spot that you have a hidden disability and we'll treat you as a vulnerable customer. But that's based on the perception of the enforcement officer, the salesperson. And the salesperson earns commission. They earn commission. So they're not always going to make a correct judgment there, are they, if they can sniff a sale? So, right, let's move on. Now we know a bit about the visits, let's move on to the story. A heartbreaking court case in County Durham has prompted claims that the BBC is bullying Britain's most vulnerable. No, they're bullying everyone. Look at the letters. I'm not vulnerable particularly, but look at the letters I get. They are full on bullying, threatening to send the boys round if I don't pay them 159 quid. It's a threat. They're bullying everyone, not just the vulnerable, but it's the vulnerable that is the worst part of it. A woman with learning difficulties and depression was handed a criminal conviction for not paying her TV licence. Learning difficulties and depression. Let me just pop back quickly to the visits. All TV licensing visiting officers receive specific training on how to respond appropriately to customers who report a disability when they visit an address or exhibit behaviour. So she's got learning disabilities and depression. So that specific training that officer had, that worked a treat, didn't it? Or was it just the fact that he's targeted to sell an amount of licences that's pissed him off? The unnamed woman in County Durham was prosecuted and convicted last week in the single justice procedure. So that is closed doors, no hearing or anything like that, based on the written evidence from the visiting officer, the enforcement officer. We don't know what he wrote. Maybe he scared this woman who had learning difficulties and just said, just sign here and I'll be on my way. And then he's filled it in after the fact. I've heard it happen. Would you be surprised if something like that had happened? I'm not saying that is what happened. I could believe it, couldn't you? This is why you should never, ever talk to them. You cannot trust these people. They've had specific training on how to handle vulnerable customers. We'll take one to court then. Like the one with Down syndrome, no control over her own money, being dragged to court. Imagine the turmoil that must have caused that poor woman. No idea what's going on at all. This woman has learning difficulties and depression. Imagine what must be going through their mind being dragged to court over a TV subscription. This is not good enough. So this story was brought to light by ChilliJonCarne, who's the court correspondent for the Evening Standard. And he shared a devastating letter that the woman wrote to court. The woman wrote, "I forget what I have to pay out sometimes, and with me having mental health, I find it hard at times." This was a handwritten note. "It was a mistake, and I'm really sorry for this, and I have to try and call the TV licensing people a couple of times, but I could never get through." We don't know if that's true. I could believe it, couldn't you? Conservative Party chairman Richard Holden, who was alerted to the matter concerning one of his constituents, responded that he would pick up the case immediately if he passed the details, blah, blah, blah. I want to just remind you of something. This was in a video I did the other day about the Lad Bible one. And in here, a TV licensing spokesperson says this: "TV licensing's primary aim is to help people stay licensed and avoid prosecution, which is always a last resort." So now we know that prosecution is always a last resort to TV licensing. We know here that all TV licensed visiting officers have received specific training on how to respond to customers with a disability. And yet this woman was still taken to court, got a conviction, got the fine, went through the single justice procedure. And this is okay. This world that we live in, this is okay. How do these people sleep at night? This cannot continue to go on. This TV licensing complete nonsense has to come to an end. It might not be able to be ended till 2027. I understand there's a charter in place. This needs decriminalising immediately. That way, none of this can happen again. This can't happen again. It might spell the end for the BBC because so many people won't pay it anymore. But then we'll see who really wants to pay it and who won't. Mr. Kirk noted that due to the fast-track single justice procedure system, TV licensing would not have read the emotional letter. They wouldn't have cared if they did. It wouldn't have had the chance to assess the public interest in pursuing a criminal case against her. This woman is perhaps like many others. She unknowingly let her license expire and was unable to deal with the letters that followed. She was offered an out-of-court settlement, but this letter at least hints that she may have needed extra help to comply with that. Even after she entered the guilty plea, TV licensing could have stopped the case as not in the public interest. It could have gone back to the woman to offer extra help. She got a criminal conviction instead. How is this being allowed to continue? Why isn't every MP upping arms about this? Every single MP in Parliament will have constituents that have issues, that are classed as vulnerable. This could happen to any of them, and we're hearing more and more about it. TV licensing are really pushing the old PR at the minute. They're everywhere. They're all over the shop with articles going in, every bit of press going. But these ones won't stop coming either. Wait till they start prosecuting your nan. You know, they said they're not going to pursue anything a couple of years ago, didn't they, when they stopped the over 75s free licenses. They said, we're not going to pursue it in the courts. They will. It will start, and they will start pestering people's nans and granddads who are also vulnerable, who also might have issues. This is going to get a lot worse for the BBC. They palm this off as TV licensing this, TV licensing that. Let's not forget, it's not a company called TV licensing. This is the BBC. They are responsible for this. Auntie, the one who's here for you, sees you through the most trusted news network in the world, taking vulnerable people with mental health issues to court. And they're all okay with that over 159 quid. Absolute scum. I don't want to keep seeing these kind of articles. I'm worried that I will. I do not want to keep seeing these kind of articles. Interest in this whole thing is growing. You know, my views are up more than they've ever been. The emails coming through my TV License Stop website are up more than they've ever been. More and more people are cancelling. More and more people are. I'm hearing loads of stories about people's direct debits just being randomly cancelled. That'll get you a visit. And that's what happened to that woman with Down syndrome. This cannot continue. Something's got to give. There needs to be more and more pressure on Parliament. Something's got to get. This is not okay. It's not okay, is it? And I'm just worried we're going to start seeing loads more of these stories come out. How many more of these stories are actually out there that haven't been talked about? Worrying, isn't it? And it's not right. It's a fucking TV subscription, and you're taking vulnerable people to court over it. Ugh. Let me know what you think about this down in the comments below. Thanks for watching. While you're down there, leaving your comment, hit all the buttons and everything as well. Because if you do that, hopefully I'll get to see you in another video again soon, won't I? Hopefully. Ta-da.